Okay, here we are. I think we made it. I am experimenting right now with a new software that is called OBS, and I've had it for a while, but I haven't done the live streaming. So my name is Meredith White, and I am a Spanish teacher. This is going to be a resource that should accompany some recent resources that I posted on LangChat and other places. So this will describe basically kind of how those things fit together. So linked below is the resource that I'm referring to that we've shared in our LangChat PLN for language teachers on Twitter. And I referenced a couple of things. I referenced Bethany Drew's and Laura Sexton's life-changing, for me at least, and I know for many other people, take on warm-ups and anticipatory sets and all those kind of things. So I referenced that, and I've also recently posted kind of daily questions or warm-up questions. And in looking at how those things go together, when I find myself posting those resources, I alluded, or I tend to allude to how I'm doing them virtually or hybrid, but not with a concrete visual. So those are slides, for example, that make sense in the context of what we would do normally, right? The computer would be up to the projector, kids are in the room doing it on a piece of paper, assumedly, you know, all these kind of things. Now that our worlds have been turned completely upside down, we are doing some of the same things, but maybe aren't doing them in the same ways. So I realized after recording that video, that doesn't really help if you're thinking like, what does this look like for virtual and for hybrid? And please excuse how I currently look if the camera and the stream are all working the way they should, because I was exercising and doing errands. So I just realized that my face like floated over on the screen and I was like, oh yeah, not the most flattering. So I have here opened up, as you can see at the top, GoFormative. And I have had a GoFormative account for a really long time, for as long as they've existed, I suppose, or when I got wind of them several years ago. But I was never really, the features were not exciting enough to be using it regularly, honestly. And so Bethany Drew, again, queen, dear friend, amazing, incredible, had said, you know, you need to check out the new updates to GoFormative because they're really, really good. And I was like, well, okay, you know, whatever. Holy cow. I mean, this is like, it's been like a year now. Holy cow, incredible. So when I give daily questions or warm-ups and I kind of refer to those things, I am doing them now all exclusively on GoFormative. And what this looks like for students is the resources that I posted had slides. They have 6 questions per day, which is in the explanatory video in the resource itself in the description. And so from the 6 questions a day, students choose 4. And you can see, I'm going to zoom in on these instructions here. Students choose 4 every single day. So let me get myself here where I can kind of point this away. So they get these, which way am I going at? So they get these directions every boop, boop, there we go. I'll get out of the way. By the brain. There we go. I can get my hand going. So by the brain here, they get these directions every single day. And these are the directions for students. They are to look at, let's say, November 30th. This was our warm-up November 30th. They are to look at these questions down here. So they have, let's see, which way am I going? This way. They have 6 questions total. These are guiding questions in the unit. It's a family unit, so, you know, describe your family. Is it possible to consider friends family? Is it possible that you love your family but don't like them? So higher level thinking questions. It's not, what's the word for sister? What's the word for dad? You could use those in answering and considering that question. So that's the cool part. And in crafting 6 questions a day, pretty much, for each day of a unit, I can now guide my students to thinking about kind of how the unit fits into, again, those higher level thinking skills, into culture, into comparisons, comparing themselves with other people, with the target culture, learning more about all of those people involved, And so it goes beyond just recognition, recall, knowledge, etc. It's truly reflective. The other secret is that is not a secret that I tell students is if you, for example, let's say they do, let's say on paper, let's say before pre-COVID, February, pre-COVID, before all of this, they would have it all on paper. So I am in one unit for 3 weeks. And so that's 3 sets of 5 days. So 15 days in a unit. If I've given them 6 options a day and they're picking 4, they've answered 4 questions a day for those 15 days in a unit, 15 times. So that's 60 questions they've answered that pushed them beyond just vocabulary. And now they've got, if they've answered back in sentence form, yes, it's possible to consider friends family, or yes, it's possible to love family but not like them sometimes or not get along. If they've used the question back in the answer, reflected on it, expressed what they really think, they've worried about what they're going to say, not how they're going to say it, they now have 60 sentences, which is a lot, like several paragraphs, right? Like of writing that all go back to the topic. So now really all they have to do is just decide what order they want to put them in. If I've even been super extra, and I'm pretty extra, but like, if I've really been intentional, maybe I've even put them in the order that makes sense. So now for a performance writing, I can say, hey, cat's out of the bag. You've kind of already written it. Go back and look at your warm-ups. And you'll literally watch students go like, what? And they go back and they realize why I said like, I suggest writing in a complete sentence as a response. You don't have to. You can answer the question with, hey, how's it going? With, it's going well. Or, good. You can answer like most questions with one word, but when you're coming back with more information, it's just showing more comprehension, I think. So I'll try to encourage them like, hey, come back with a sentence. You're going to thank me later. And I love watching them realize like, oh my God, I don't have to like draft an essay. I've already drafted it just by doing my daily work, just by putting in the work that I've already been putting in, like we do with other goals. You've been tidying up the house, you wiped off the counter after you cooked. You tidied the appliances, you wiped down the microwave. Now you don't have to do this whole kitchen cleaning overhaul because you did it little by little. You put your clothes away, you put them, you hung them back up or you put them in the hamper when you took them off. You don't have to now like clean your room in this massive way because you've done it little by little all along. That's kind of how I approach what their daily work should be. And it also disrupts that culture of busy work when they think we're just giving them like a warm up or something to do to keep them busy. The busy part is secondary, tertiary, whatever, to the function of the questions. So like I said, GoFormative before, not how I was using it. Now that I'm teaching virtually and in person at the same time, very exciting. Help! I have switched to doing our daily questions, warm-up questions in GoFormative. So this is exactly what students see. These are our Unit 6 questions. Unit 6 is kind of a hodgepodge. It's like house, family, life, review Units 1 through 5 before finals because we do an entire level in one semester. So this is what we just did what month are we in? Oh, this is like the 31st. So earlier this month when we finished, whatever, a week and a half ago, these were, and November 30th on, these were our unit daily questions. So in GoFormative, I do one GoFormative assignment as the daily questions. And what you'll see here is the directions. I copy those directions over every single time. And then what they get in GoFormative is like a little short answer blank. So I can give them these 6 options, option 1, option 2. I try to make, out of those 6, I try to make 2 really easy and accessible, 2 kind of like medium accessible, and then 2 like, stretch it a little bit further. So your ones that are comfortable with those going, okay, yeah, that's easy. Yeah, that's easy. I wonder what these other ones say. Because they're not going to look at the harder ones until the other ones are more accessible. You don't like browse through harder workouts on an app or a device or at the gym until you're like, I know what I'm doing, and I know that other simpler, easier things are accessible. You know, let me get a grip on those first, and then I can try something harder. Or cooking. I mean, you're not going like, I should really start cooking. I've never cooked before. I'm gonna try like duck confit. No, like you start simple, and then once you're like, I already know how to do that. I already know how to do that. Let's try something fun, like something fancy like duck confit after you've been doing it for a while. Not because you can't before, but when things are attainable and we can see them and they're not intimidating in that way, then it's a little bit easier to go like, okay, yeah, I'll try it. You know, there's less pressure, there's less stress, there's maybe even no pressure. So I try to have 2 be really no pressure, 2 be medium pressure, and then 2 be like, you know, let's see what you got. It's the extra hard yoga move. Like, let's see. And if they have been kind of pushing themselves all along, they're probably ready to try that. They're ready for a little bit more pressure. So they get the 6 choices, like I said, and I think of thanks to Laura Sexton, I think of them in that way. Accessibility. How not easy, but how accessible, how straightforward are these? And then I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller here, so I can come up here. And then I'm going to come down here. So we've got some family questions. And family questions are tricky, right? Like if you're asking about relationships, I teach high school. So if you're asking about relationships to teenagers who knew anything about any of those things ever, I still don't, like whatever, that's really hard. So if you're asking, you know, does your future partner or whatever, we also have to look at, are we perpetuating like heteronormative sort of narratives? You know, are those the things like, oh, Johnny, you know, your future wife, do you want, whoa, easy. You're like assuming a lot about Johnny. And so also looking at what kind of other options we're giving students and what we're modeling in terms of how accessible, like, are these questions? How accessible am I making family and talking about your life and your personal life and relationships, which are all very personal. So they have an entire week here. So you see, I'm hoping the 30th was a Monday. Seems like it, because I'm a Monday start person. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday in person. I usually have like a Friday one as well, because obviously they're coming in the room and all 36 of them, you know, are doing the things. But for hybrid virtual, we've typically been like asynchronous or no new content on Fridays. And so Friday just ends up being the reflection one. I also like that keeps GoFormative to have like the questions in blocks of 5, so that I know that number 5 is like week 1, day 5. It's just how my brain works. And it's easier for me to answer students' questions when my default is, what number is it? 3? Oh, that was Wednesday of week 1. So then I know like Monday of that next week of the unit is going to be question number 6 and so on. So it's like 5, 10, 15. I just think that's easier to think about. Again, we've got some emojis here. I have a Mac, so my Mac laptop has like an emoji keyboard at the top, but I also love Emojipedia to insert really fast emojis. And just gives, again, as language teachers, gives an extra visual, gives an extra non-text representation. And it's just kind of fun, and it eases the pressure. If they can see, you know, mascota, and then I'm like, fish, lizard. Although I think I accidentally put the dinosaur there now that I look at it. Casual pet dinosaur, totally normal, right? But they see dog, cat, fish, and they're like, oh, mascota, mascot, a pet. And it's like, boop, they can get that connection. The same way if I'm standing in Paris at the metro map, I'm like, okay, let me look here. Oh, that one's a bus. Oh, that must mean bus. Got it. Okay, so I don't want the bus, I want the metro. So I need to look at this map. We use visual cues constantly. And so I think we also have to look at how realistic is it to assume our students are going to be using language, you know, in a fully white room, straitjacket, no gestures, no questions asked, nothing visual to help them, no audio, and they can only hear the audio 3 times, you know, or something like that. That's how we were taught to teach for many of us, and kind of hard to undo that. So I tried to add a lot of pictures. I tried to add a lot of emojis. I say that and then I passed 2 where I didn't use any. And a lot of scaffolding. So a lot of places for students to see, you know, just what does it mean? They're less likely to go to other sources that we may not always want them to use if we just help them in the moment. imagine if you're a tech person at your school, my dear friends who are technology coordinators for their district and school, Angela and Allie, like they often will tell teachers who come to them for tech help, we covered this in a tech tools in a lesson. What if I told you no? And I think that's really compelling because, why can't we just put the word for grass like next to cessped? Because if they're going to go else and if they're going to open that new tab, open Google Translate or whatever, great, knock yourself out. I look up words all the time. I'm not a native speaker. If we're going to do that, and we know they're going to do that if we don't tell them, or this is how we're introducing it to them, what's to stop them from just, screw it, and just copying and pasting the rest in there? And then we get angry. So making it at least as accessible as we possibly can to them while they're doing it. If it's a few extra steps to look up stuff, they're going to want to do less. So am I. There's like 8 different Nearpod codes and a poll and 4 screens needed for a faculty meeting. Probably going to turn my camera off and just listen. And I don't want to do all those things. I just want the information, right? So looking at kind of where we're focusing their attention. Is the focus on finding the language, or is the focus on understanding the language? And we have the power to do that. We have the power to shift the focus. So 5 days, again, this is the Friday reflection. Our Unit 6 was only 2 weeks, even though they're normally 3, because the 3rd week was like finals week. So I only had 10, and then I made question 11, positive feedback only. I just often think we work on making our weaknesses better, but I just really work on continuing to strengthen my strengths. And I find that my weaknesses kind of catch up. It's like they can't be that weak for that long if I'm really honing what I'm doing in the context of them. The really great thing of the 8 million great things about GoFormative is I could make a video with Loom, which is like a screencasting, kind of like this. You're in the video, but you're also screencasting if you want, screen sharing. It's great for sending parent videos, student videos, explanatory things like this. This is also, Loom would work well for this, but not live. And so I put in a Loom video that just said, hey, you made it. Thanks for having a great semester. Please tell me anything that you worked, that you enjoyed, and that helped you learn, and kind of everywhere in between. And like I said, one of the really, really fantastic features of GoFormative is that you can embed pretty much anything. So I know this was a focus on like daily questions, but I also wanted to showcase just GoFormative and its general incredibleness. So I'm going to exit out of student view here. I'm previewing student view. I'm in GoFormative. And you'll see here, this is how I added these questions. So I had the instructions at the top. And then these, like I said, were all short answer. This is GoFormative when you just hit the little plus sign and you want to add a question type. So you get all of these different kinds of types of questions. You can add like an audio question, meaning like on the left is like red is what the teacher does. Blue is what students do. So do you want students like contributing audio? Do you want students categorizing? Do you want students doing an essay, graphing, all those kind of things? Sequencing, multiple choice. You've also got the show your work tool. Super, super cool for, again, as a language teacher, as a math teacher, of course, as a science teacher, of course. But for those of us like language arts, history, language, the show your work for like in-text evidence, document-based questions, authentic resources, where did you find that? Where did you think it would be important to look for this piece of information? The show your work is really, really cool because they can like highlight, it's like a little whiteboard, highlight, insert text, like arrow. And so you can really see what your students are comprehending or not. You can just say, no harm, no foul, underline in red or blue or purple or green or whatever, doesn't make you feel bad about, that you don't understand, and it's totally fine. Like, what did you have no idea? It doesn't look like anything familiar. And it's interesting to get a gauge on what students do and do not understand. And again, with the no pressure, like it has nothing to do with questions. I just literally want to know, when you look at this, what do you have no idea? In addition to whatever it would be, comprehension questions, that kind of thing. So that's super cool. You can also do like, you can see here, you can also do like a teacher whiteboard. But again, red is like teacher content. And then blue is what you want students to do. So they can categorize, put things in order, resequence, really, really cool. And I got here by going on this little like plus sign up here. So anytime you want to like add some kind of question content, you click on the little plus sign. Kind of looks like an X right there, but it's a plus sign, I swear. I'm gonna move myself down here. Hold on a second. Okay, so it's also like here. Once I added the directions, I could say, okay, now I want, you know, multiple choice. Boop, and I click on the plus sign and this is gonna pop up again. So I can just keep adding different content. So I'm gonna click over here. So I did short answer, and you can do short answer, like I said, categorization. You can pretty much do anything you can think of. Audio response, so that students, I can feel a sneeze coming up, so that students have to respond via voice, no camera required, just audio. And then at the bottom, when I had that video, oh, here it comes. Ooh. Oh, goodness. Excuse me. At the bottom where I had that video embedded, I did teacher content. So I clicked on the plus sign here and then clicked embed and Loom, just like YouTube or Edpuzzle or Flipgrid. I mean, you can, all of the tech tools you're already using, you can just embed right here. Like you can just go boop, boop, boop and paste like the embed code that they give you, and then there it is. Quizlet sets, incredible. So not only are we using all these technology tools, but we're also, with GoFormative, integrating them in with each other. So they're now like not 7 different links for students to click. Again, fewer clicks, more engagement. If you tell me, go here, then do this and fill out this, I'm like, it's like pre-planning. Why are we annoyed with all the tasks in pre-planning? Because we have other things to do. And the more layers there are, the more it starts feeling like a little bit of a waste of time. And it probably isn't, definitely isn't. To my bosses, I love you, it isn't. But it can feel like that because it's like, my God, this is so many steps. It's like a recipe that super simple, but then like everything has like 8 other steps. Or a blouse that you really want, but now you need to buy like a camisole to go under it, or like a shawl, and you don't have the accessories. So now it's a blouse that actually requires like 4 other items of clothing. It's exhausting. We want as many standalone things as we can get. And so GoFormative will provide that because you can embed all those things into what you're already doing. If using, what did I name? Edpuzzle, Flipgrid, here on YouTube videos, Quizlet, Gimkit, Blookit, Nearpod, Pear Deck, like the mind boggles at all the things that we use. Those feel, and they are essentially several, what was that, 5 to 7, maybe 6 or 7 things I named? Like those are separate entities that can actually be streamlined one after the other. So I'll give you an example besides just like an embedded video. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to come back to my formatives here. So you'll see you can also separate them into folders. My folders are other, which is like stuff I'll get to later. And then I just have for the 2 levels I teach. So if I go to my level, I've also separated folders into units. And you can decide how you're sorting your units. I've suggested it'd be great to separate, like not necessarily by oldest or newest or like last updated, name A to Z. All of these are great, but like slightly problematic. Like there's like one issue. For example, my naming norms are like number, month, colon, whatever. So if I say like date updated, sure, that might, these are like mostly in order here. Because that's just the date I naturally would have updated them in. If I say sort by like newest first, definitely screws up my, it just reverses it, right? If I say name A to Z, tricky, because now it's assuming like this 1 should go before the 7, and it's like actually 14, not 1.4 or anything. So like the dates are going to be off. I really would love, and I've told GoFormative, because they're amazing, I told them that I would love the ability to manually order them and then push that same manual order to students so that they could see kind of like this, but like with the, yeah, like this, like 30, like in order, either down to up or up to down, whatever. November 30th, December 1st, December 2nd, 3rd, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, because we have a GoFormative pretty much every day. Pretty much every day. And so that is, I think, helpful. And if they want to see it, like I said, newest on top or newest on bottom, great. I don't care. But I love to at least be able to decide the order. That way they're not like searching. Because I will watch in-person students. Like in-person students go like, where's today's? What? I can't. And they're scrolling and I'm watching them on this like tiny Chromebook screen. Like as the tiny Chromebook loses battery and I'm like, like you don't have much time. Just do the thing. And I can watch them like take more time. If I could just order them by the date, then all they have to know is today's date. And I think that would be really empowering for students because they're not going like, is it assignment 1.2.1.BA3 nano? Like we have all these codes that make sense to us. I just need them to know the date, but I'd love to be able to do that. So anyway, GoFormative, I love you. Can I do that soon? Thank you. Appreciate it. So this is how, so they have all these for that unit 6, like I said, which was 2 weeks. And then the last week was whatever it was, finals. So midterms if you're not blocked, but we're blocked. So all in one semester, which is a lot and very fast. So that was the daily questions that I was in. Here, for example, let me do like an introduction because I think that has more things embedded, which was the point. So I'm going to go student preview. I like swinging from the chandelier here as we like finish the unit because oh my, we made it. We did an entire semester. Insanity. Okay, we have all these things embedded here. Let me switch here. Let me scroll down, figure out, orient myself. So unit 6, like you can see here, house, family, everything in between, the people in my life, basically also trying to recap school, self, description, yada, yada. So unit 6 is kind of a catch-all, which is great. Gets them ready for level 2. As I scroll down here, you'll see I've got Quizlet set embedded. Notice you can embed cards or you can embed specific games. So I could say like, yeah, embed like match, or students can switch to match. I can directly embed it from Quizlet, or they can just like play around with the different games without going to Quizlet. Incredible. Okay, so they've got that. I also went ahead and just printed, took like the PDF version of the vocabulary and uploaded that too. So you have the ability to upload PDFs, documents, images. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I mean, like you can embed, like you can attach things for them to look at without any problem. Think authentic resources. I mean, how many times have you like traveled someplace, again, as world language teachers, traveled someplace and we'd come home with like the suitcase of garbage because we wanted all the authentic resources. Like, okay, can I just have everybody? I literally 3 years ago, as recent as 3 years ago, I'm like, can everybody pass me their bottled water and yogurt cups? Like that was a thing I said at lunch. Like, I'll take that. I'll take that. Do you need that Coke can? Because I'd really like to have it. Thank you. And I'm just like collecting everyone's garbage and I'm saving it and I'm snapping pictures of it and I'm saving the labels. I'm like flattening things in like books on the way, my journal on the way home. So I would have it for students, for learning. We do all these things. But if we do have those images of things or receipts, you know, things that you can somehow take a picture, don't laminate receipts. I found that out the hard way. It completely burns the paper and you lose the receipt. It's the heat. Yeah, found that out later after I ruined like 4 receipts. So if we have those receipts, if we have those pictures, if we even just do the photos themselves, you can put them into GoFormative and then put some accompanying questions or direct students' attention with that show your work, so that they can say, you know, where in the picture, I'm thinking in the target language, where in the picture is the blank? How do you know it's a bakery just based on the word panaderia, you know, or whatever? And they're like, boop, 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 underlining pan. So they're reading, they're getting cultural information, they're seeing someplace in the world, which is included in that cultural information. It's like, pow, 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 pow. They can do all the things. If you just want it to be a document like this one, where I just, again, what's the faster? If they don't want to go through all the cards to find the words, here are some of the words that are pretty common in a lot of places, right? Vocabulary lists are not the end all be all, but they're a nice reference guide, right? The words obviously aren't the only words you can learn or should learn, or that I should be presenting or introducing or valuing, but it's helpful to at least have, like, especially when you have multiple countries as part of the language you're teaching, lots of places, lots of people. It's nice to have some general things you can reference, and then you go from there. Oh, well, you can also say this for bedroom, or this for bedroom, or this for bedroom. Depends on who you talk to, and so on and so forth. Maybe dormitorio seems like a cognate to us, but for some reason, recámara is more memorable. Well, great, then say that one. It'll be fine. If we're really teaching our students to be interculturally competent learners and citizens of the world, they'll do what we did. They'll figure it out. They'll talk to somebody. They'll say the wrong thing. They'll say something, not intelligible, and someone will kind of look at them funny, and then they'll figure it out. We need to empower them to circumlocute, to find information, not just to learn that calcetines is the only way to say socks, because we know that's not a thing. So I'm going to move, let's see, myself out of the way here. I have some pictures of my own house, and these are matching. There are 5 of these. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is about the maximum you can do in the matching with the GoFormative, or else it does like exactly what you can see here, which is now I can't really see the 5th one without scrolling a little bit. So students would have to know how to like zoom out their browser, like I'm trying to do now, but it's not letting me. There we go. They would kind of know they would have to know how to do that. And as we've seen this year, I love Gen Z, but their digital literacies are like lacking in some ways of the academic things. So not counting on them, being able to do all the things that we know how to do because we're working and creating stuff all the time, and we've had to learn it. So again, the more clicks, the more zoom, the more, the more like things they have to know, the more the access increases. That gets a little dicey if we want kids to do the work earnestly and genuinely. So this is just matchy-matchy. They just match like my, bedroom, like with my, was that 2? Oh, that was weird. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I do have 2 pictures for one thing. Forgot. So they're matching, like master bedroom, home office. When you match them, then the other things will shift, like you just saw happen. And so then like living room matched itself because it was like process of elimination. It just switched with the one I moved, which is fine because they still have to verify, like, okay, is that the living room? Yes. Is that those both home office? Yes. Master bedroom, kitchen, great. And then they scroll down. So the questions are numbered, even if they have multiple parts. And then again, you've got, 4 pictures. I separated them here. I could have just put like all 15 pictures, but again, then they have to scroll, and then they're holding to match and scrolling. And that was like super annoying for me, an adult who was creating the resource with the pictures that I took the time to take. Like, if it's annoying for the most invested person in this activity, it's automatically annoying for teenagers because they're already annoyed at everything. So the less annoying things are, the more likely they will be to do them. So you can see again, another set of photos, and then a couple of repeat photos. I also then have them categorized. So not only are they matching them, but knowing that I'm going to show the same pictures here, now I'm saying, okay, what do you do here? Like what activities are these appropriate for? And honestly, this one, I think they're like, the answer key just says they're all appropriate for all the things. Because can you argue that you eat in your room? Of course. Can you argue that you, read in the kitchen? Sure. Like, again, anything that could possibly, plausibly be a thing, you just want to get students thinking. This is formative. It's literally called GoFormative. And so on. So they keep doing the same thing. Like, where do you spend time with people? Spoiler, all the rooms, except maybe the bathroom. But even then, I could just see a student saying like, but I help my, siblings. I'm like, ugh, fine, or like parents, bathing a child or getting ready. Of course, great. Hang out with people in the bathroom. Live your best life. Who am I to stop you? I just kind of also want to see what they're saying. So it kind of serves as like the conversation piece we would have in class. Like, oh, is it possible to spend time with people in the bathroom? What? You guys are crazy. And that kind of thing. It's getting to see their same trains of thoughts, but in a different way if we're not able to interact with them in those same ways. And then I've got some Snapchats, some screenshots of Instagram posts from our class Instagram, a lot of the same photos, so I can keep using the photos that took me time to take. And they're matching up what the response like to the caption would be. So there's a caption here. You can see like text. This is dining room. This was like Christmas a couple years ago. Or sorry, Thanksgiving, forgot. And so it's like, you know, happy day of thanks, whatever, or it could, you know, obviously it could be happy Indigenous Peoples Day, you know, whatever something being celebrated is. What's your favorite food? And so that was the caption. And then they had to pick like what response, which is that one, what response would be appropriate to that one, like what somebody could comment. So it's like using social media without using social media, if that makes you nervous. It doesn't make me nervous, but that's just a thing we do in our class. We have a class Instagram and we interact. But if you don't want to, you could still use that same type of scenario for like a prompt. Now you've again tricked them into reading and tricked them into writing, because it's sort of like, if you had to comment, what would you say? Or they could just actually comment on those class posts. And then the last one is now switch the context to your life. So they kind of saw the vocabulary expectation as much as possible. I'm in a huge department. I work with incredible people, and we work really hard to align all the things. So again, I know it's like, oh, vocabulary sheet, but also, again, we got to have some point of reference. It can't just be like loosey-goosey all the time. Probably an unpopular opinion, but when working with a lot of people, I think the list of people, when teaching a lot of people and working with a lot of people, in that context, it behooves fewer and fewer of those people to not be transparent about what we're doing, if that makes sense. So we try to be as transparent as possible. That's just one of the things, is saying, these are going to be some of the words we emphasize. Obviously, you have flexibility. You have student-selected vocabulary. Of course, like, what do you need to be able to do what we're going to do in this unit, which also requires that I'm able to say what we're going to be able to do in this unit. So it factors into the planning for sure. There's backward design at work, and when all those things are working, you know, a vocabulary sheet's not the enemy. So we went kind of in, they negotiated some meaning. They also saw some interpersonal writing, if you want to call those like Instagram posts, which are real, they're on the real account. But the screenshots of them, and then like the appropriate response. So they kind of did like interpretive, led to interpersonal, and now we're gonna go presentational. And the last question says, you know, what's your favorite room in your house? They could literally just copy paste like, my favorite room is, but they're then gonna want to put like the name of the room. They can level up and say, hey, why? Like, why is it your favorite room? Or like, what did many of them do? Many of them said, like, my favorite room is my bedroom. I have my phone. My favorite room is my bedroom. It's purple. You know, my favorite room is my bedroom. My parents, you know, aren't in my bedroom. Ha ha ha. Like that kind of thing. They will naturally expand when we give them, again, things that are low stress, low pressure, like open-ended, like, So I could add why, you know, without going to Google Translate and using 17 different tenses in level 1. Looking at you, students. What can you know, what are some 3 words that help me understand why that's your favorite room, right? So like, my favorite room is, and then it could be like kitchen. And then the why might be like, I like to eat food. My mom, you know, makes good food. Level 1, at the end of level 1, all of these pieces of information, if we've done what we've done the whole time, should be accessible. And again, they can focus on what they're saying, not how they're saying it, because the pressure is off. There's no pressure. This is just, what's your favorite room? Tell me why. Why do you enjoy spending time in there? What do you do? In an appropriate way, obviously. They are teenagers. Sometimes you open that door, they waltz on through, and you're like, I shouldn't open that door. Lock that door forever, right? So then at the end, I've just got a little Bitmoji. Woohoo, you're killing it. It's 2020. We need as much encouragement as we can get. And then they submit the assignment. So each day we have something that is like this, pretty much. There's some input in addition to like live class. There's some negotiation of meaning. And then there's some kind of performance. It could just be, you know, I mean, presentational writing can be a list, can be a grocery list. Presentational writing can be, that's a sentence form scaffolded. So they're also getting repetitions of the word like room, right? What are we, how are we having them as efficiently and as streamlined as possible go sort of in, together, out, go through the modes as much and efficiently and as connectedly, I'm going to make up a word, as possible in the sense of, in the context, in the sense of what we're doing on a bigger scale, but also what we've been doing. So these things need to make sense in our class. They need to make sense in context of like, whoops, I'm accidentally clicking, in context of what we have done in previous units. How does this all make sense? And how does it not feel like we are scattering them all over the place in terms of resources? Like, again, go to Quizlet, go here, then record your Flipgrid. Oh my God. Like a faculty meeting after about 2 tasks, I'm like, how long are we going today? You had me join the Nearpod, and then I had to put in the chat my question. It's like all of these different things that we know can be like the bane of an online experience. And yet I think I get confused, not confused, but I get mixed up in what I get excited about teaching them, all the tools I get excited about learning. And I honestly, my own language proficiency clouds all of that as well. So it's like a very like nebulous area. And I don't think we always kind of push the clouds aside and realize that maybe one lesson has now, again, 3 hyperlinks, 2 different tasks, a login required. What's their password for that login? And it's like boop, boop, boop. All these layers start just kind of, with varying degrees of transparency, start clouding what it is we really want them to do, which is understand language, use language, enjoy language. That's it. Like those are our objectives. And so if they can scroll through an assignment and go like, it's like when you have students go, is this it? This is all we're doing? That means this is unbelievably easy. Like I don't actually believe you. And I think that says something about the culture and all the narratives that we need to disrupt in terms of busy work and teacher power and all of these things, because they're surprised when that's all it is. And I think that says something. I know my plans in the spring were very much click in 74 different places and then send me the form that said that you clicked in 17 different places, because none of the places were talking to each other, and just doing the best we can. What this experience has taught me in some ways is what we already knew to be true, but just like never had to reflect on, because I've never had this many virtual meetings, this many webinars, all of these different things. So we start to reflect on what we like or hate. And we've got to translate some of that to students, because it's not that much different. We don't get mad about, like, they Google translated the whole thing when we gave them a page of text to read on a screen, and then comprehension questions, which basically a lot of times comprehension questions, at least mine, are like, read my mind. Like, so you have to be tapped into like my interests, what I find interesting, what I find valuable, my language proficiency. Like comprehension questions are tricky. And it's amazing that students do as well as they do with them, because sometimes they are like, there's like a lot to uncode. Why wouldn't they go to tools like Google Translate? They're going, I can't even read 80% of this. And like now you're wanting me to add, like, what word do I think probably means avoid? I don't know. And as teachers, we're like, obviously evitar, it looks like evade. No, it doesn't. Like, the students are like, this is super frustrating. So the more convenient we can make things, not easy, but like simple, the more simple and convenient and intentional we can make things, I think then our planning gets easier and students' execution of that planning gets easier, and therefore they do more things. The longer my lesson plans and assignments, the fewer students do them. And then I'm like, guys, where are you? They also don't do them, and they took me, those are the ones that take the longest to put together. So now, not only did I not do it, I'm frustrated because they didn't do it and it took me a long time, which does not mean it was valuable. It just means it took me a long time. So it's like we're stuck in this like cycle. So fewer clicks, more engagement is the conclusion there. So that's one assignment. That's 1 day's work. And you can see that I've also got, so I'm going to zoom over here. So these go in order, like I was saying. So you've got like introduction, and then it's like day 1-ish. How many days are in November? 30? Seems like it. So it seems like that was probably like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I should open a calendar. Thursday. We didn't have one on Friday. And then Saturday was the 5th, 6th. And then December 7th was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then Friday we didn't have one. And then 12, 13. Monday. And then, like I said, this last week was finals week. Good. I'm not a liar. I was like, I think that's what I did. And so you can see here, you can also see like the class sizes in GoFormative. So we got intimate and acoustic this semester with the 22. It's not going to last long. I've already seen the enrollment. So I submitted like 22 submitted. Doesn't mean they did it. Don't be impressed. Like, stop yourself right now if you felt bad for a second, because that means I forced submit. So everyone with an account submitted. It could be 6. It could be 16. I don't remember. Probably 6. And then you've got the 29. That's back to the numbers that look familiar. 32. There's no place like home, right? Okay. So you can force like submission so that students also don't have a false idea of what they've done. Because in GoFormative, let's say they opened up that introduction. Let's say they did one of those questions, like one of them picture matching, and then said, I gotta go. I gotta go to the dentist, and I gotta do all these other things. Like, I'll finish this later. And they go back, and let's say they got those matching right. It'll show them as 100, like a 100 score, not 1 out of 30, like 1 out of 1 correct out of whatever, 15 questions. So you have to be really careful with GoFormative because students will then log in later and they're not thinking about like what they did. It's like opening email and going, did I reply to this? Well, maybe I'll reply again. They're opening it up. They're finding, they're like, oh, wait, no, I already did this. I got 100. Okay. And then they keep scrolling. So when I say things like find any of the GoFormative assignments you haven't done, that's not super helpful for the ones that have answered 1 or 2 questions. So I try to work as hard as I can to, like I said, force submission on these so that if they did answer just 1 question, they see that it's like 4%, or whatever. If there are, 20 questions, they see they got like a 5 and they're like, oh my God, 5 out of 100? Help me. Like 5 is a little bit, 5 causes inquiry, not like, it should cause like a little bit of panic and not be like, oh, great, I already did it. No, you did. You did literally nearly none of it. Help me. And so not just for virtual students, but for in-person students too. Many of my in-person students are not doing the amount of work that they would normally do under normal circumstances. And most of my in-person students are also, not most, many are not doing the same amount of work that virtual students are doing. So realizing that, some groups are maybe working harder or differently than others, obviously. And so just working regardless of the setting to keep things as accurate and transparent as possible. So as an addendum to another previously posted resource, which was our grading and planning structure, I have mentioned this could be an addendum to that, and I have alluded to that we have, let's say, 3 weeks a unit, give or take, and then, so you get 5 days a week. 4 out of those 5 days, so 4, 8, 12, we have a GoFormative assignment. Each week, I take the highest of their 4. So let's say this is 1 week here. Let's say they got like 60, 70, 80, 90. On Friday or Thursday afternoon, so like when this one's due, this is the last one for the week, Thursday afternoon, I'm going to go through, I'm going to force all the submissions. I'm going to make sure that I've graded all the open-ended, given all the feedback in the form of like typed, Bitmoji stickers, like, woohoo, you did it great, as well as the score. So they're getting feedback in multiple forms. I'm going to do that by Thursday afternoon so that by Friday when they log in, they won't see I answered 1 question, I got 100. They'll say 5%, and they'll know that they need to like scramble and do one of those. Or if they're happy with They're going to scroll, they're going to log in and see 50, 60, 70, 80. They're happy with that 80. They know that I'm just going to take the 80. So 4 opportunities every week where their best formative work can then turn into their best summative work in terms of daily work, classwork, repetition, practice, right? All those kind of things. So it allows for retakes, it allows for redos, it allows for responding with feedback. I can give them lots of quality feedback, and then the ball is in their court to decide how they want to react to that, if they want to redo it, if they want to take me up on, it's always open for edits. And that's what GoFormative literally calls it, is allow for editing. When you decide like these little calendars here, you can decide if you want it to be open or closed. This little lock is closed and like according to a date with a little calendar. And the green means that it like returned answers to them at a certain point, and I believe allowed for edits until it was closed. And then the padlock is like, nope, that is all you get. So it was closed and there were no like allowing for edits. Once they submitted, they submitted. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you need to be present for live class if we're live, and then do the 4 assignments. I'm going to take your highest of those 4. And could you do it in reverse? Could this go 90? Like he gets Johnny, it's always Jimmy. Johnny gets 90 on Monday and goes, screw it. I'm good with a 90. Doesn't do any more classwork Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Of course. Like once I finish those HR videos that are required of us every year, I'm not looking for more. Like I'm not like, I did the 3 that are required. Could I do like 5? No, I'm good with that. That's all I needed to do, right? I'm good. And I've been transparent about my practices. It might hurt my feelings like, Johnny, what the heck? These took a long time. This is important. But these took a long time is teacher centering. These took me a long time. I think these matter. They do matter. The consequences are going to be natural. And to a degree, I just have to be okay with that. I think we all always have to be okay with that. When Johnny gets to that quiz on Friday, I know, and I know I've said to them that what we did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, in those daily assignments, spoiler alert, is what's on the quiz. Because imagine, of course it is, he's going to struggle with that, or he's going to need to use other resources that may lead him astray. Something's going to go down probably. It's not going to be like 90 on Monday, 90 on the first try on Friday, probably. For some kids, great. And again, why are my feelings hurt by that? Awesome. Knock yourself out. Lucky you. I mean, whatever. But most students don't do that. Most of my students get that 90 and they go, hey, okay, all right, let's see. And they're going to still do the assignments because that's what's assigned. And if I've built the trust and the relationships that I need to, they know that these 4 assignments aren't just to keep them busy. It's to prepare them for that Friday quiz where I'm like, ta-ta. I mean, it's like literally the same pictures, pretty much the same questions. And again, they look at you like, is this the quiz? This is it. I have in-person students under normal circumstances, like start a quiz, whatever, pre-COVID, and now COVID go, I think you copied the wrong thing. The quiz is like, just like, I think it's the same assignment. And it's like, yeah, pretty much. Like I just changed up a couple things, or now you need to expound a little bit more, or, whatever the thing is. They're like surprised by that because again, there's that narrative in their head and we perpetuate it. We're all part of the problem of like schools like, gotcha. Oh, nobody passes my class. That's what some people say. My class is so hard. Nobody passes this final. It's like a challenge, and learning should be challenging without being impossible. Like, and also there are varying levels of challenge. Why does that stroke our ego and make us feel good when we made things difficult? I always joke that like, haha, I almost tricked you, like with my students, but the goal really is completely the opposite. I don't want to trick them. I want to make them critical thinkers. And again, what are our goals? Like I want them to learn language, like use language, understand language, enjoy language. That is all. Like that's it. So them failing and let's go with opposite, hate language, not be able to produce any language, not understand anything. That's what that can end up sowing. And that's the complete opposite of our goals. And it also causes rifts in departments. It causes problems in alignment. It's just all of the worst parts of school, like all together on purpose by like behind the BS of accountability, grades, and like difficulty. Like for things to be worthy or worth it, they need to be nearly impossible. Not true. And we know that's not true. If every workout's nearly impossible and not enjoyable, like, and then we don't get to reap the benefits because we don't get to the benefit part because we stop because like this is awful, right? You know, there can be beauty in adversity, but when that's the goal is just to like, you know, instill adversity, like this is just going to be really hard. Well, yeah, but what am I getting out of it then? Not much, maybe. And I also zoom out to be very honest. You know, I zoom out as a level 1 and 2 teacher and go, sheesh, like is Spanish 1 as a sophomore supposed to be the hill they're going to die on? Like, is this what we're doing now? Is like, this is going to be like, this will make you a stronger person. Like, well, you know, no one passes this class. Ew, no one passes Spanish 1? Stop. Like this is when we make it lively and exciting and inviting and you know, teach them, as my department chair who's awesome says, that language is not a spectator sport. You know, this is something to engage in and to grapple with and to learn about yourself and others and compare yourself and your others in life and reflect and grow. You're supposed to grow. But if we make it impossible and code these as 1.3b, C5, and or just the names, if we make all of these things behind these like continuous curtains of just shrouded in, you know, lack of trust, distrust, and shrouded in impossibility, well then, why would they do any of our assignments? Why would they do any of our work? And why, frankly, would they like us and like our class? That's not always the goal, but boy, it sure helps. It's easier to learn from people you like. It's easier to teach students who enjoy what you do and appreciate all the work you put in because we know that we put in a lot of work. So those are my goals with having so many of these for a unit, is because every day we're coming back to GoFormative in order to further our goals. And with those different kinds of questions, you can build in reflection as just an everyday thing. Let's look at, you know, today's reflective question in the target language or in the you know, in English, whatever the common language is among students and teacher. So those, it's just one way. I think GoFormative is one way of just, again, bringing together, at the very least, bringing together all of the tools that we're really trying to use. If this is your year not to use any new tools like it is mine, then don't, you know, if I said Edpuzzle and Flipgrid and you said, what was that other one? Blookit? Did she say that right? If you don't know about it, don't worry about it. If you're looking for other things like games, great. GimKit, Blookit, fabulous. If you're looking for other things that can help, you know, performance speaking, and you don't have any audio capabilities in your like school platform, then maybe Flipgrid is for you. You know, inquire whatever you're looking for, because I see it a lot like a store. If I'm going to IKEA for a couch, I'm more likely to find what I want because I know what I'm looking for. If I'm just browsing in IKEA, suddenly I like kind of want everything, and these coasters are cute, and ooh, yeah, I like that lamp. I don't need a lamp. I have lamps. I just need to stay out of the store completely. So if this is your year like it is mine to not try anything new, then, you know, don't worry about it. But it basically functions as a separate learning management system. So my students have our school LMS, which is eClass, and then they also go here every day. Those are their tasks. Check GoFormative and like check the lesson plans on the thing every single day. Like you have 2 things, go there, see what we're doing, and then go there to do the thing. That is it. So fewer clicks, more engagement. If you are interested, if you teach level 1, if you teach Spanish 1 especially, but if you teach level 1 and don't mind like changing what maybe would be like what obvious with the languages. You don't mind changing it into French, into Chinese, German, Arabic, etc. On my website, which I will link here, you have the links to all of those clone links. So I'm going to scroll down here, and you have the links at the very bottom left. Should still be on the left. This is a Google Doc that has all of, let me go, boop, boop, boop. Let me move myself. Here I am. Boink. You can see, let me get my finger, like I'm hitching a ride, like not with my thumb. You can see here, I've put the theme, like what the topic was, and then all of the links there. So if you've got a GoFormative account, you literally just have to like click on the link, and then it's a clone link, so it'll automatically copy to your account. Sorry, it's like really weird looking between two screens, and then my face is covering everything because I'm live streaming with this software. So, like it looks like I'm like super distracted, but I'm just making sure that I'm clicking the right thing and scrolling the right thing. So you literally just click on those clone links and rock and roll from there. So these are our units. We do 6 units in level 1. They're just the basic novice units, right? Greetings, descriptions, school, food. I forgot what unit 5 was. Fashion. Yeah, clothing, and then house and family. So those daily questions at the very beginning of this video can feed into the AP themes, of course. Obviously, they should feed into those AP themes. They can guide your can-do statements. They should. They could be the ammunition, and should be the ammunition, for those can-do statements. If your can-do statement is, I can describe my family, then the questions should prompt family descriptions. Again, if they've answered them, now they've basically written an essay a few sentences a day. How easy is that? Can anything in life please go that more simpler? Like, can I do that? Can we do that with, I mean, that is what successful people do when they're trying to, write more, journal, reflect, complete a dissertation. Baby steps and one step at a time. Do something every day toward that goal. And so I kind of see it like that. I see it with that mentality. So if you want any of these and you want to make them better and send them back, that would be delightful. But please take full access to these. What you'll do is you'll just click on it. And like I said, if you've already got an account, I have a paid account. I pay for my account, but you should still be able to clone them without a paid account. And you should, I believe, still be able, maybe I'm wrong, be able to have students engage with assignments, because I used premium features, but you don't have to. Like, you don't have to pay for them to be able to use them, I think, if they're already embedded into an assignment, if that makes sense. So if I'm wrong, sorry, but that's my understanding. So please take that, and you can see the URL. I will put that in the description for this video as well, for my site, and then all of these things will come up. So you want to go all the way to the bottom left. I hope this has been helpful. Like, I really, one of the only things that has made, there we go, hey, that has made this COVID hybrid experience bearable, tolerable, survivable, and I don't mean that to sound dramatic. I really do mean the only thing that on a daily level has made teaching, giving feedback, learning, so not in order of importance, obviously, learning, feedback, progress, and just, getting work done on the part of students has been GoFormative. It has completely saved my semester, probably my perspective. It has, and I'm there, obviously, like I said, I pay for my own thing. So I'm getting absolutely nothing from saying this, except for I am so thankful for this tool. And now that I've gotten to where I can be even more intentional with it, that I find is exciting in an experience that has been anything but exciting. This has not been like, we are not self-actualizing in any way in a pandemic. GoFormative is the tool that has made all of this tolerable and even at times very enjoyable. It's very easy to give feedback, and it's very easy with, again, those aforementioned planning structures, like I said, with the weeks, with the grades, with all the things that I give and do, it has made it so much easier to just do that and do what I know was working before and keep doing those things. I haven't had to like reinvent what I'm going to grade, how I'm going to grade. I am still able to get students learning, receive feedback, getting quality input, creating quality content. And honestly, I'm excited about continuing to use GoFormative even after we've gotten out of this hybrid, whatever this environment is, virtually, in person, whatever the thing is. If given the choice, I'm never not going to use GoFormative. So it's really changed a lot of things for me. So hopefully this was helpful. And I will link those resources in the description for the planning structure, if you haven't seen that, and for my website. So hopefully this has been helpful. Also really hoping it saves